Bloating, joint pain and unexplained weight gain, they're not random, they're all signs of inflammation. I suffered with this before I discovered an easy, proven solution. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to safely reduce inflammation with this 3-step method, making fat loss easier and faster than ever. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal and I'm the CEO of Body by Bikini, and I've helped over 13,000 women transform their bodies. And one of the things that's going to really help them do that is by reducing inflammation, and that is a huge fix you need to get on top of if you're perimenopausal, menopausal or postmenopausal. Before I went on my transformation journey, I looked like this, but I didn't understand that I was suffering, amongst other things, from inflammation in my body. And I didn't know that when you're going through perimenopause and menopause, you're almost certain to get some form of inflammation, and it's actually a symptom of menopause. And if you get on top of it, you can experience weight loss, and it's really going to speed up weight loss too. In my case, it showed up as bloating and water retention, and it was really frustrating. I also experienced health issues, but I just didn't connect the dots that it was to do with menopause. When you're over 40 and menopausal, you can experience a lot of inflammation or chronic inflammation in your body. And that's what I'm talking about. If you can tackle this inflammation, you can lose weight safely and easy without increasing your exercise and without reducing your calories. But next, I'm going to explain what is inflammation and how you can actually identify whether you have inflammation. Simply put, inflammation is something harmful that has entered your body, and your body is trying to heal itself from that harmful substance, and that often results in inflammation. Well, of course, that's no bad thing, your body trying to heal itself. But the problem is, menopausal, perimenopausal women and postmenopausal women, what we can experience is chronic inflammation. And that is particularly true as well if you have an autoimmune disease or something like hypothyroidism. And it's literally your body is kind of fighting itself. It's like your house alarm going off, constantly going off, but there's no intruder inside causing it. And it's damaging your healthy tissue in your body. So, how do you know if you've got inflammation in your body? Well, here's a checklist. Maybe you're struggling to lose weight. Maybe you're fatigued and really much more tired than you're used to being. Perhaps like me, you had digestional issues or problems with your gut health, or you've got joint pain or swelling. So what are the most common causes of inflammation? Well, it's like your hormones are changing. Your estrogen, your progesterone and your testosterone are all reducing. There's also a hormone called cortisol. That's your fight or flight hormone. We can have raised cortisol levels. There's a hormone called insulin, and we can experience insulin resistance. That's when our body cannot control our blood sugar levels, our blood glucose levels. And what's going to happen is your body just becomes more inflamed with that insulin resistance. Lack of sleep can cause inflammation. Stress can cause inflammation. Chemicals can cause inflammation. And the food and drink that we consume can cause inflammation in our bodies. If you can reduce chronic inflammation, what's going to happen? You're going to find fat loss, weight loss. It's going to be so much easier, like I said, without having to cut your calories, without having to increase your exercise levels, which we absolutely don't want to have to do at this stage in life. So, next next, I'm going to show you exactly what you can do with nutrition. My client Amira was exercising a great deal, but she wasn't seeing results until she joined my program. And one of the reasons was she was kind of eating pizza and stuff like that, she told me. And once she started to implement what I'm going to recommend to you now, you can see the transformation in her pictures. So it's really important, and one of the most important things is to get on your top of your nutrition, because that will reduce inflammation in your body and result in fat loss without having to cut calories. You're still going to be able to eat and feel full and satisfied, which is what happened to Amira.
I initially joined because as somebody who's really had a joy and a love for exercise and fitness most of my life, I really struggled with balancing that with proper nutrition and fueling my body to really see the results that I wanted to see. And this challenge more than met that expectation. I was able to easily follow the guides, easily follow along with the nutrition plan and the exercise plan. And I really learned this doesn't have to be complicated and it doesn't have to be hard. I don't have to run for miles and miles. I don't have to overexert my body to see the results that I really want to see. And you've put together just an amazing program for us. And I just really want to thank you for that. I mentally just have been able to get in that proper mindset.
So we've discussed Amira was eating the kinds of foods that was causing inflammation, and now I'm going to show you the kinds of foods that Amira started eating and what I would recommend you start eating to reduce inflammation. I'm going to talk about what not to eat, and we want to be cutting out ultra processed food. That's kind of junk food, isn't it? That's your pizzas, your burgers, but anything that's kind of had too much tampering by people is going to cause inflammation in your body. Also, you want to tackle insulin resistance, which is another form of inflammation. So you want to cut out white flour, so that's going to mean white bread and like white pasta, that sort of thing. But you can still eat whole grains. So what can you eat? Well, you want to eat whole natural foods as far as humanly possible. Firstly, we want complex carbs. So things like this black rice, but it could be quinoa, oatmeal, sweet potato, even brown rice. But just make sure that everything is whole grains. So if you're going to have bread, have whole grains, not white bread. The next thing is plenty of fruit and vegetables. I've got like a bit of fruit there, some veggies there, but like fill your plate with those fruit and vegetables. They're really healthy for you. Focus on lean protein. So I've got tofu there. That's going to help reduce inflammation in your body. And the other thing is fermented food, because we talked about digestion issues and reducing inflammation with digestion issues, and fermented food is great. This is kimchi, but you could have sauerkraut, whatever it is. Now then, I'm going to talk about the foods that are really great to incorporate into your diet because they're actually anti-inflammatory. So they're going to help your body reduce inflammation. So I got berries. These are frozen berries here, but you can have fresh berries. I've got like tomatoes. You can also have peppers and mushrooms, green leafy vegetables. I've got spinach there. We want to lean into nuts and seeds. They're really anti-inflammatory. And even 70% cocoa, dark chocolate. Just 1 or 2 squares of that though, not too much. Oily fish is massively anti-inflammatory and really great for women at this stage in life. And also turmeric is amazing anti-inflammatory. And I'm going to talk about later on a supplement that you can take, which is the main ingredient in turmeric that actually helps you reduce inflammation, but putting it in your food. Now, I haven't got it here, but like green tea is also amazing for reducing inflammation in your body. Next, as well as food, there's some really great supplements that are going to help you reduce inflammation in your body. So you want to think of supplements like the flames on this candle. Now, I can put out the flame like this, blow it out, but someone else could come along and light it and get that flame going again. And so that's the same with supplements. It's actually not getting to the root cause of the problem. It's actually dealing with the symptom. And so that's how you've got to think of them. So they're not like the main event, but they can be helpful in helping you reduce inflammation in your body. And it's also important to remember that try to get all your nutrition from food rather than supplements, because your body's going to absorb it much better and it's going to be effective. But there are some supplements you can't actually get them from food. The first one that I'm going to talk about is vitamin D3. This is amazing for women over 40, but unfortunately, we're normally deficient. If we're ever tested for it, we can find that we're deficient in vitamin D. So if you're like me and you live in a cooler climate, you're not going to get it from the sun like you normally would. So you do need to supplement with it, and it can really help reduce inflammation in your body. The next one is magnesium. Magnesium is really helpful in reducing inflammation in your body. Also, it can help you sleep at night, which I'll go on to talk about that in a bit. And the other one is berberine. So if you've got insulin resistance, which is a form of inflammation, berberine can be really helpful in combating that. And the other one is joint pain. Curcumin, so we talked about turmeric. Curcumin is the active ingredient in turmeric that will help reduce inflammation. So if you've got painful joints, painful knees, that kind of thing, really can make a huge difference. And then this is actually a probiotic. And if you're having gut health issues, probiotics can really help, but again, you can get that from food if you eat fermented food. So those are the supplements I recommend. Now I'm going to go on to talk about how you can actually make some lifestyle changes to reduce inflammation in your body and therefore get fat loss. Before I went on my personal transformation journey, I thought that nutrition and exercise were the only drivers of weight loss or fat loss. And I didn't understand the role of sleep and stress. In other words, high stress levels and lack of sleep can actually cause weight gain, and it can actually really scupper your chances of fat loss and weight loss. And I get so many women contact me and comment on my videos, and they say, Melissa, I'm doing everything right, but I'm still not seeing results. So they're doing their high protein eating, they're lifting their weights, and they tell me it's just not working. And I say to them, well, are your stress levels really high, and or are you getting enough sleep? And they normally say, no, Melissa, I'm highly stressed and I'm not getting enough sleep. And so if that's you, that's the reason why you can't lose weight. And sometimes just simply being in a calorie deficit for women at this stage in life, it's just not enough, because we've got inflammation in our bodies. But we can make some lifestyle changes that are going to make a massive difference. So when I started focusing on managing my sleep and being mindful about my stress levels, I noticed that I could lose fat and maintain this physique much more easily, effortlessly, without having to spend hours working out, hours in the gym, or really starving myself, which you don't want to do, because that's actually really unhealthy. So why is that? Well, stress and lack of sleep can lead to raised cortisol levels, which then wreaks havoc with all your other hormones and causes inflammation in your body. Do you get intentional about sleep? Well, that's what I do. I didn't until I discovered the power of restorative sleep and how it can really aid fat loss and reduce the inflammation in your body. And this is for you if you're perimenopausal or menopausal. But what you do have to remember, lack of sleep and disturbed sleep is actually a symptom of menopause. So, you are going to find that you struggle to get a good night's sleep, but I would highly recommend you get intentional about sleep and put in some strategies that are really going to help with sleep. So, I'm not saying you can sleep perfectly, but you can sleep like I did a lot better, reduce your inflammation and get fat loss by incorporating these strategies. So number 1, sleep according to the circadian rhythm. So what does that mean? That means getting up and going to bed at the same time every day, and you get up, when it's light and go to bed when it's dark. That is much better for women at this stage in life. It's going to mean that you get a much better night's sleep. And the bit between 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. is actually when you get like high quality deep sleep that you really need. Having late nights, it doesn't suit us anymore at this stage in life. You need to set yourself a routine. So I said getting up and going to bed at the same time every day, but you give your body like cues and signals, just like you would a baby. So with a baby, like my babies, when I brought them home from hospital, I got them into a really good sleep routine when they knew at night time when it was bedtime, because they have cues, and that's what you need to do for your own body. So you want to switch off technology half an hour before you go to bed. You might take a bath, have a shower, wind down, practice mindfulness, meditation, and all those things, build those into your routine, and you will find you get a much better night's sleep. Now, the other thing to mention is supplements. So you've got things like ashwagandha, CBD oil, valerian root, there's melatonin. So all those things can be really helpful in just getting you into a really good sleep routine. And I promise you, not only are you going to feel a lot better, you will notice fat loss becomes quicker when you can get on top of your sleep. And not to mention, muscle building is actually going to improve as well, which of course, muscle building helps fat loss, but importantly, you're going to reduce inflammation in your body. We can lead really stressful lives in the Western world, and particularly for midlife women, we can be caregivers, we can be breadwinners, and we're not taking time out for ourselves, which means our stress levels can go through the roof. Let me ask you this, on a scale of 1 to 5, how stressed are you? Be honest. 5 is really, really high, it's through the roof, I'm completely stressed, I can hardly carry on. Or 1 is, I'm so chilled and relaxed, I'm just, completely chilled. If you're a 4 or 5, you need to start looking at the tips I'm going to show you, because reducing your stress levels is going to have a huge impact on inflammation in your body. And I can guarantee you, if you're on a 4 and a 5 and you're struggling to lose weight, that is the reason why, and you need to address this ASAP. And that's what I do with the clients that I work with on my coaching program. If they're coming to me and they're telling me they're highly stressed or they're having a lack of sleep, then what we want to do is put in some of these things that are going to reduce the stress levels. And this stuff really works, I promise you, if you're going to implement this. So here are the practical things you can do at first. Practice breath work. So that's like deep breathing for 3 to 5 minutes. That can make an enormous difference. I know sometimes when I've like led one of my coaching groups and we stop and we do a deep breathing moment, immediately they're going to feel more relaxed. Meditate or do mindfulness. Even if it's for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, it can make an enormous difference. Journal your thoughts and practice gratitude. You know, be thankful for what you actually do have in your life. Sometimes we don't realise until we actually start thinking about it how grateful we are for some of the positive things that are happening in our lives. Listen to calming music, or maybe, like me, you love walking in nature. Practice those, make time for those. Always remember to keep your body moving and do stuff like walking. It really is great for stress management. Now what I want to do is actually have a look at those kind of lifestyle and support mechanisms that you might need to put in place that require a little bit more thought and maybe involving other people to help you with this. But it's again something that I encourage my clients to look at, because making time to like reduce your stress levels and get on top of your stress, not only is it good for reducing inflammation, it's really massively helpful for your mental and your physical well-being and your overall wellness too. Set clear boundaries for your work. So most of us nowadays, we spend some of our time, don't we, working from home. And if you haven't got a clear boundary between when you finish work and like when you're like, you know, spending time on yourself, that can make things difficult. And remember, losing screen time is also really important. Connect with a community or a supportive friend. Schedule downtime or something fun every week. That's what I do with my partner Ken. Like we do something like, oh, we go on a date, or we do something where we go out together, which is like nothing to do with work or caring. It's just taking time out for ourselves. Prioritize and delegate your tasks. And this is where like a coach can really come in and be helpful for you to do that. And remember, seek out professional help if you need it. You are not weak or bad just because you need it. I've had professional help in the past and I've had coaching, and so it can be really helpful for you to actually put in place strategies that are going to help you move the needle. I'll admit, making those lifestyle changes, it's not easy, and sometimes it's really great to have somebody support you in doing that. And if that seems like something you would love to happen to you, I have a platinum coaching program where I work alongside my committed team of coaches, actually working with women one-to-one to achieve all their goals, whether it's reducing inflammation, whether it's fat loss, whether it's muscle building, whether it's body transformation. So if that is of interest to you, click the link below and make an application. I would love to hear your story and work with you. And remember, do implement those things that we've discussed in this video. So I talked about anti-inflammatory nutrition, I talked about anti-inflammatory supplementation, and we've just discussed the lifestyle changes that you need to actually reduce inflammation in your body.